Look, look at all of you there, sitting and staring, fully in my view, hesitant and expectant, waiting, creating, pontificating, and estimating how much longer I will take to explain. Well, I just woke up. Or at least I think I did. None of this place registers or sparks.
But what they have done is they've put despots
in this
control
vacuum
that push
I call the
capitalism
head.
and push fundamentalist Christianity.
I know logically
And
that
to
there
the
must
point
be
where
one thing
President
or
Duterte in the Philippines has killed a minimum
or
of
another,
7,000 people due
a
to
soldier,
a drug epidemic.
a slave, a priest, or a mother. But the truth is that I do not know. I have no memories. The very thing that binds us to our own past and our thoughts and deeds and dealings with others has been stripped from me. I know not who I am or why I'm here. I'm in the present with you here. This place, this building. I can see that it is most beautiful. I wonder whose house it is. I wonder who would live in such a grand palace with so many in attendance. Not I. I know that much. I was always outside. Always outside. I can hear a flicker and see a whisper of a different time. At last, outside with the elements, outside with the spirits, I can feel the sweet raindrops falling upon my forehead from a rowan tree, and I can see the lights dancing in the darkness. But still I do not know who I am, or why I've been called here, if called here I was. Perhaps I arrived here of my own volition. A journey, a quest, an unknown mission. Perhaps. Perhaps. And now I hear music and I begin to understand. The dance and the magic in my burning left hand. The shower of light in my gardens of sin. I'm always outside when those winds come in. And I know my names, for I have had many. And I know I'll return like a bad penny. This place was my home before he turfed me out. And when I return there will be no shout, just a quiet breeze in the universal mind. The walls and the boundaries begin to blur. The marked distinctions start to fade and then lose their strength and disappear. The spiralling hills and low-slung valleys shake off their manacles and their shackles, and we see how the land truly lies. Construction for an imagined future. No rewards at present, no respect for the past. Let's transport ourselves in the eye of the mind. The commute to yesterday's instant. There's no wait or delay, no change of driver, no disruption to the route. Don't need an opal, an oyster or an engine. The petrol's in the synapse and in the soul. And the journey starts now. And the journey starts now. The dust of ages lies spread about over diaries of another life, muddled exercise books and dogged photo albums. I feel a chill from the storm brewing up outside as I unpack memories while reboxing keepsakes. This place is loftier than my present mind, which stays at ground level, content to create non-physical reminders of relative prosperity. I put away the tired broom and put on my coat. Sand with a texture like wine spills within the glass, never escaping the confines of pretty distracting boundaries, passing tides mark seasons, engagements, things to be done, in the glass, bearing coarse fruit and reminders. I am waiting for a delivery. A delivery of an item of technology that will make life easier. It will adapt our home's existing output and update it into something more suitable for a modern connection, thus allowing access to the internet, or the wild, wild, wild world web, as it was once known. The telephone output adapter will be packaged in various plastic materials that will not decompose for at least 30,000 years, possibly never. Right now, I'm in that enviable position of being in the present, the here and the now, and not needing to do much other than simply wait, as I am, I think, a sentient creature. I ruminate and write at the same time. Much has been made recently of the psychological practice of mindfulness and how it can help keep thoughts focused and mental energy more efficient. While I believe it is helpful to not dwell on thoughts, be they positive or negative, some proponents of the technique claim that for a mind to be functioning at its optimum, it needs to be in the here and the now, and not daydreaming or wandering. I fear this does a disservice to mental strolls along imaginary pathways and lanes. I think the mind is capable of being both in the present and also able to let things free up and lose itself down different routes. In short, I'm a big fan of daydreaming. I believe daydreaming reveals the different aspects of the mind and personality to the eye, without the codified stern warnings and rebukes of the ego. It lets force of the imagination out into the internal world, with the option of creative interpretations finding a space in the external world. Dreams and nightmares make us what we are, keeping hold of a route to discover and rediscover the forces beyond and behind the everyday, as well as the universal themes and designs of what we call reality, can only be a good thing in my opinion. Now back to the wait, and to the daydreaming. A fresh spring clean and a major fallout. These seasons turn to mush and are one and the same. Doppler effect caught on camera, stuck in a loop from one to the next. A smile in the mirror says it's time to think different, to turn off the ongoing repeats, to mute the direst of diatribes and bring a new mic to the listening booth. Amp 1 and Amp 2 broadcast the news. The state of this union, ugly and bruised, loaded with trauma from point A to Z. Directive: remember, learn, don't forget. It seemed like a good idea at the time. It seemed like a good idea as the cold sweat ran down my neck and the small of my back and into my crotch. It seemed like a good idea as my face flushed scarlet, then white, then scarlet again. And it seemed like a good idea when I thought I would topple over. As always, he had crept up behind me, silent as a snake. M&S stealth suit made no sound as the line manager invaded my personal space, my life, and my head. Well, I'd really like these reports on my death before lunch, if at all possible. A fairly innocuous instruction framed as a question. Nothing to get too upset about. And yet, 2 little words. 2 little words going over and over in my skull. I mouthed them. I rolled the words with my tongue, savouring the very power of them. The sheer joy of abandonment opened to me. The joy of release. The temptation was too much. Fuck off, I whispered, moving my stare from the floor to his empty, dull eyes. Mr. Never had an idea in his life pension plan spluttered something. Fuck off, I repeated, louder this time. I had never said something and meant it so much as then. And from that office, in a building, in an office, in a building, I went across the road and into the pub. As I shakily entered the Old Man pub, the jukebox was playing a long-forgotten song by a long-forgotten X Factor contestant. Auto-tuned death cry with syncopated plastic beats. Apart from a tweedily dressed old chap asleep on his copy of the Racing Post and a guy playing pool by himself, I was the only patron in that run-down-up former spit and sawdust drinking house. Smelling the dank of ages, I ordered a pint and slipped outside to the beer garden for a fag. I watched a pigeon carefully inspecting the chicken bones from a chicken cottage box. I saw the grey clouds in the sky move slightly and become a little greyer. The pigeon looked me straight in the eye, and I think it winked. I had done the right thing. Of course I had. That place was no place for me. Why should I be in that office, in a building, in an office, in a building, when I could be here? The pigeon winked again. I went back into the bar and it felt a bit too warm. The jukebox was playing Happy Hour by the House Martins. I got another drink, and then another drink, and another. The light swam. And I still remember that day. Even as I crouched in the toilet cubicle, chucking my guts up, puking all the fear and illness that had built up over the years, I remember thinking that things are going to change. One way or another, things are going to change. I gave a final retch and passed out. warm vomit dribbling down my tie. Like I said, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Steve, flat 5. Steve hadn't left the flat for a while. Maybe Monday, when he sent a letter to Mother? Or had it been Sunday, when the large grey cat had approached his window, gazing at him with large disapproving eyes? Either way, it had been quite some time ago. Today was Friday, and he had quite a bit to do. Steve didn't really get a lot of visitors, but his flat was always immaculate. Everything was in absolute order. His many and varied books were displayed in alphabetical order on ancient, dust-free shelves. Ceiling, walls and floor positively glowed with the toil of hours and days of scrubbing and cleaning. The place had a sterile atmosphere that Steve quite enjoyed. Like a hospital, he thought. My place of healing. Indeed, Steve took cleanliness very seriously. After washing his hands 7 times and eating his clear soup, he washed his hands 7 more times and then took Father's book from the special place behind his bed. As he reached for the thin volume, he felt curiously different. Something had changed somewhere. Something was about to happen. Premonitions were not natural to Steve. As he sat down on his fabric sofa, not leather, too many germs, and opened the book at random page, he did his best to dispel the odd feeling. He began to read Father's book, as he always did on every day after lunch for the last 7 years. From Seeing is Believing, a treatise on the future of human development, 1968, by Alunius Fisher. In most countries that we somewhat laughably call civilized on this great globe of ours, when an individual has a problem with their eyesight, they will go to a specialist in optometry to try to find a solution to the problem. They will usually be prescribed spectacles, or, if they are reasonably well off, contact lenses to try to correct the disparity between what the individual sees and what is actually there. They may experience a blurring of the lines of reality, and they may expect to call it myopia, short-sightedness, or hyperoria, long-sightedness. But the current malaise in true understanding stems from a far deeper problem in seeing. This problem is the true myopic vision, the near blindness that blights all human thought and feeling. When humanity learns to see from within as it once did, spectacles, contact lenses, and optometry will become quite useless. Reflect then on the following exercise. Count 10. You're in a white palace with white walls and white windows in white window frames. On the white floor there is a huge white carpet, and on the white carpet stand white statues and white furniture. A small white dog plays with a small white toy near the center of the white room. A huge white fire burns white flame in a huge white fireplace at the edge of your view. In front of this is a white throne with white silk cushions. Count to 10. How do you know any of this is really there? Guidelines. Taking out the guidelines and thinking for some time, I traced and tracked the elements that were clogging up the space, always going up and down and round and inside out. This devilry of notation was a job in itself. Here then are the results of my endeavours. Number 1. Investigate. What is wrong? Number 2. Action. The lack of meaning. Number 3. Process. This is a fleeting thing. Number 4. Conclusion. It works better without guidelines. Good evening, good morning, and goodness me. Here is the old 8,000 years ago, someone got a hump with their neighbour and did them in with a pickaxe. A few days after that, someone else got angry with their neighbour and ended their existence. The axe was bigger. The axe continued to grow and continued to be ground. A few years ago, an old man climbed to the top of a tower and looked down. He didn't much like what he saw. Hundreds of thousands, nay, millions of people dancing together, dancing and singing. In response to this personal dislike, the old man spent all of his money on a big axe and threw it at the dancing people. The people bunched up together, forming a protective shield of hands and arms and strength. They caught the axe and used it to build. A few days later, the axe went on tour around the world, showing off its new building skills. The world is now a better place. Good night. I am here, and I am here, and this is here, and this is here, and I am here, and I am here, and this is here, and this is here. A song or a poem, a place or a sound, an eye or an ear, I wander around, I wonder aloud, I wonder aloud, I'm thinking out loud, I wander around, I wander around, I wonder aloud. Is this thing on? Is this thing on? I am here, and I am here, and this is here, and this is here. I am here, and I am here, and this is here, and this is here. A song or a poem, a place or a sound, an eye or an ear, I wander around, I wander around, I wonder aloud, I'm thinking out loud. Is this thing on, or is this thing off? Hello? 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 I'm recording this in the hope that someone, somewhere, will hear my message and understand how I got to this point. It all happened so quick. Lies spreading and swooping as diving contagion, infiltrating every aspect of life and existence. And before we knew it, the world as we had known it was gone. I'm here, and the sun has burnt a hole in the earth, like a kid with a magnifying glass, blazing the wings of insects. There was warning, there were signs, there were pleas, all ignored. Easier to brush away the reality, but the lies keep spreading. Now they're with you and around you, Find me here. Hello? Once you hear the noise of their approach, it's too late. They're too fast, too nimble, too goddamn powerful to do anything other than simply lie back and surrender. The only reason I'm here now is that they couldn't use me, couldn't make anything of me. couldn't understand me. But they will regret that decision, that judgment. For now, I am here with most of my wits about me, and a final plan to bring about their eventual doom and destruction. How shall I do this, you may ask? Simple. I shall unsubscribe. Waking up to a table for one, warm yet perturbed, the programmer began to break his fast and his mind in one fell swoop. Pouring swan's milk over a bowl of microchips, he contemplated the day to come. It would be a veritable hive of activity, he assured himself. There was that meeting with the Spark mods to address, the conclusion of which would have consequences for all of their hereafters. And then there was the wattage and the village bring-in-buy sale. A mammoth task if ever there was one, even without the robot Ollie Fant on standby. All in all, it would be quite an eventful day. The programmer put away the breakfast things and readied his briefcase. Within were his daily essentials of snub-nosed rifle, crisps, orange juice and banana. After all, he would need these to keep his energy up. The sun shone brightly on the porch as he stepped onto it after triple locking the front door. Let us proceed, he told himself, with rigorous planning. On the other side of the sphere, a dejected plant creature stared out into space. There was light. It's time. But there was little else. Some vapor, some air, lots of light, but nothing else. No noise, no activity, just a gentle swaying and then stillness. The plant creature continued to stare outwards. Whose reality is it, though? I don't lay claim to this region. I don't recognize the flora, the fauna, or the thick clouds of anxious tumult and empty rhetoric. It all just rather snuck up on me. And now I'm here, I don't know how to go back. It's tempting to close one's eyes to this failed new world. But I choose instead to look it full in the face and counter its arguments and affirmations with a logical stance and a fight. Downtown, uptown, they're all singing the same tune, borrowed from the same hymn sheet and distinguished by doom. It's a joyless meander through life's mirthless fix, and a possible solution to the stones and the sticks that fall upon us with regular force. This outpouring paralyzes a general discourse. It's all in the song. It's all in the song, uptown and downtown. They're all singing that same tune. 4 corners to explore, and 4 corners to get boxed in by. A cut and paste job, just when you didn't expect it, just when you didn't deserve it, and just when you didn't need it. A hungry horse comes trotting along to make you disappear. The hungriest horse of all, never satiated or full, always after more. The only way to make it stop is to distract its attention in the something more yummy than yourself, an offering of a treat, or a chocolate, or a snack. But calling out for a response, an indication that someone or something has heard, shouting out and reaching out for a chance at something different, at something changeable and new. A searing bolt of pain struck his cranium faster than lightning, a jarring, unavoidable reminder that, contrary to all forms of recent evidence, he could still feel. And he was still alive. Despite the tremor and fearful eruptions in his brain, he could hear himself think above the roar of hellfire seeping along his synapses. This, he thought, is life today. And as the volume goes up, the clarity goes down, until all that is left is a jumbled up white buzz of distortion without any tune. No words can be heard, or even any recognizable sounds, just alien breathing and searing delivery. No doubt those in the know will love it all up, and those in the know happen to be stone deaf and in danger of losing their very wits. But those repeats, putting the pieces together and then taking them apart, frustrated by symmetry and a semblance of art, when all around is confusion and chaos on demand. The schedule is a nightmare, a sentence without remand. I'd like to change the picture and bring it more in line. But as you know, the tracking's touchy, and the bells don't always chime. This is that shit, always on repeat, whether you like it or not. So don't bother with the timer. It'll be on again next week. And this city was built on rock and roll. Exciting, but not the most stable of substructures. Dealing with the past while lessening its hold, I tried to stay in touch with the medieval flow. It's surrounding all of us, in every city, on every hilltop, in every field, the tentacles of the past touching us and surveying us as we go about our business. Here in this chair and at this desk, I'm communing with other obstacles and other frameworks, other things left to decide, other things preying on the mind. Constant communication, snap or chat, chat or snap, face or book, book or face. It's worth a look, so try to talk. It's not compressed, it's worth a look. Chat or snap, face or book. It's worth a look, it's worth a look. I'm not prepared for this. I prepared for a lot of things, but not this. I'm prepared for getting up in the morning, going to work and cleaning the flat, doing the shopping. I'm prepared for doing some new things, reading more, getting more exercise, saving for holidays. I'm prepared for disturbing politics and disappointing nights out. I'm prepared for feeling under the weather. But I'm not prepared for this. I'm prepared for all sorts of eventualities and all sorts of things that might turn up. I'm prepared for finding surprises on the floor. I'm prepared for being a different sort of person than I used to be. But I'm not prepared for this. No, I'm not prepared for this. Mr. Wolf. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? We ask, and continue to ask. It is later than you think, he answers with a grin, while pulling out hairs from his chinny chin. Taken aback, I flush, then sneeze, because the fur and the whiskers are blown around in the breeze. The other kids sit down, dejected. They've seen all of this before, the promise of reason. Just scorned and rejected, tormented and left, like a wound in the carpet, a crack in the floor, just leaving resentment, the bleakest of tones. Something to sum up. Time lost, never regained. Time lost, no more rhymes to stay the same. Because the map keeps changing and doesn't help with where we want to go. The boundaries blur, then disappear and reappear. And we're now lost. Putting our faith in a map. What kind of idea is that? Because the map keeps changing.
But what they have done is they've put despots in control that push capitalism and push fundamentalist Christianity. And to the point where President Duterte in the Philippines has killed a minimum of 7,000 people due to a drug epidemic.
What a silly idea. And I don't even have a compass. Well, I've been feeling a bit on edge lately, Doctor, and I'm not sure how to carry on. On the edge of what? I'm sorry? On the edge of what? The edge of a knife? Or a cliff? Or a wave? Oh, well, I don't know really. The edge of something that I don't want to see. In that case, I prescribe 2 eye patches for permanent use. Never remove. The doorways leading to further doors and corridors have been opened up. Lights have flickered on. Realizations have been met by a slowly awakening identity. The door is open. It will remain open and cannot be closed. Working on new ideas, new ambitions, new missions, new ways to clear out the systems, transform the system, filter out the noise coming from the outside speaker, bent double time in those scriptures, pointless so ill o quiz, that banish and tarnish the hi-fi, and chuck white dirt into the blind eyes. This journey needs a new compass, because we don't know our north from south, our up from down, our right from left, and good from bad, and right from wrong. But it's all wrong, no mistaking, no more cries or belly aching. Things cannot remain the same. They cannot continue as they are. This is the only clear feeling. Clarion call. Clarion call. Clarion call, top of the class. Teacher foghorn is shattering glass. It's a lesson. It's a lesson. It's a lesson in sound. A tick in the box, no time to rub out. The bell rings for lunch, so it's off with a shout. It's a playground. It's a playground. It's a playground in sound. It's a playground. It's a playground. It's a playground in sound. The Lord of the Flies and the Lord of the Lies, saying all of those things that make you despise your health and your wealth, your desire to succeed, your hopes and your dreams, and your will to proceed. Lord of the fake and the mate of the shake, bringing it down with confused mistakes, turns it to you, your hopes and your fears, of sound and fury, with no one to steer. Stuck in the mud again, lost in the woods again, no map, no compass, no dreams and no inspiration. Return to sender. Checking my mail, it's all return to sender. Had to pay the postage as a repeat offender. But when your head's filled with shit and it's stuck in the basement, take out all the trash and make a statement. This is a clear out. This is a clear out. A sort out of truth, and this is a shake up. This is a shake down and a sort out of truth. Patterns everywhere though. Always the patterns, reconfirming what we already knew. The socks I'm wearing today look the same as the ones I wore yesterday, but they're not the same. That would be unclean. The socks have little stars on them in a random pattern. I know it is a pattern because the ones I wore yesterday had the same pattern. Tiny silver stars. Tiny silver stars repeating in a sequence that goes on forever. Snap or chat, chat or snap, face or book, book or face, worth a look and try to look. It's not compressed, it's worth a look. Chat or snap, face or book, book or face, snap or chat. We are here and you are here. It's happening here in real time. It's not compressed. It's worth a look. It's worth a look. But getting away from it all would be nice for a change. But it all needs to be seen and heard all the time. There is not getting away from the facts, cold and hard as they are. And they don't like to disguise the truth of how we're living today. So I'm not getting away from it all. At all. Not at all. The sun is still just as bright in the cloudless sky. And ambition tastes like shit in my espresso cup, but like the saying goes, I gave it my best. Grin and lap it all up. You've got to be in it to win it. And I bought a double stack of Vicks. Throwing stones in the water, making waves, making circles. I'm only small, following their lead, skimming stones, testing out the water, making waves, making breaks, bringing a fractured take to the calm. Is this a hobby? Is this peaceful? Are we following our programming?